Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Adi Klevit here, the host of the System Simplified podcast, where I feature top founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And today's episode is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group, where we create, document, optimize, and implement processes and procedures so businesses can grow and thrive. And today's guest is Sarah Hubbard. Hi, Sarah.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me today.
You are very welcome. It's great to have you on the podcast. We're going to have a great conversation. We're going to have a conversation about systems, of course, but as relate to networking, which is such an important subject. And we're also going to talk about how to use AI to help you be super prepared for any networking that you're doing, which is, I'm sure a lot of our listeners are already very curious about that.
Yes,
So
they
first
are.
of all, I'm going to introduce you and read the bio. So you are the founder of the Intentional Network, and you are the author of The Intentional Networker.
Mhm.
And after 15 plus years helping 1,200 plus families with mortgages, you got fed up with being prejudged as just another salesperson. Yes.
I'm sure I saw you've worked with mortgage companies. I'm sure they've had the same type of problem point when we're out there trying to differentiate ourselves.
Exactly. Not just as a mortgage company. It's like, that's the question is like, how am I different, or how do I differentiate myself? So that's definitely a good question. So, just another salesperson is like, selfish, transactional, only there to take, can be a stigma on, not just for mortgages. I mean, it can be like people can feel that that's the stigma of their profession. Absolutely.
Yes.
So you also saw a gap groups for brand new businesses and groups for established players. So it's a group for new ones. This is a group for established players, but nothing for entrepreneurs ready to grow, scale, and stop doing it all alone. So you built it. Your MAPP, MAPP framework uses AI to cut prep time in half, so you can focus on what AI can't replicate, which is showing up intentional, building real trust, and executing all day long. And that is beautiful, because I had many guests on the podcast where we discussed the role of AI in business. I mean, we're definitely early adopters of AI. We use it across the business, but AI cannot replace everything, and it cannot replace the human connection and that human interaction. And AI is there to serve you, to help you, and to buy time so you can do the things that matter. So I completely agree.
Yeah, and I think it's such a huge part of the networking aspect of it as well. You have to bring yourself and humanization and relationship to it to have success.
Absolutely. That is so true. So Sarah, tell us about MAPP. Tell us about that
Yes.
framework. I would like to hear about it.
Sure. It's funny. I've been talking on this topic and like coaching people without knowing I was coaching people on growing their business and adding value through networking because it's one of my superpowers because I love people. And then I started working through it and AI is like, "Do you know that you have a framework called MAPP?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't, but now I know." So AI helped me come up with the name of
Come up
this, just
with
so you
it.
know. So, the MAP stands for mindset and intention, authentic presence, precise messaging, and purposeful follow through. These are the 4 points that I find if you can dial these in really, really well, whether you're networking at a large conference, on a weekly, monthly, or even down to a one-on-one conversation like you and I are having, if you can dial these 4 aspects in each time that you approach a relationship, you will really have success long term and that ROI will come. I know a lot of people that I talk with or have, worked with, their biggest frustration is it just doesn't happen. It's, I put in the efforts, I go, I show up and I don't seem to get much in return. Sometimes they're ending that thought too quickly. They just don't give it enough time. And a lot of times it comes back to these 4 pieces that I just talked about. So the M for mindset and intention. What I really, really focus here on is making sure that you show up as you are at the moment and what you need in your business. Not just showing up because you rolled out of bed and it's 9 a.m. meeting and now all of a sudden you're there and you're like driving there and you're like, I don't even know where I'm at right now as a scattered CEO. Like, what does this mean? I just dropped my toddler off at daycare and I'm feeling all over the place and I've got 50 emails that are unanswered. You need to kind of silence all of that noise and get yourself into an appropriate way of what you need out of that meeting, okay? And that meeting could be, I need a new coach, I need a new CPA or bookkeeper, I need an IT person, or I'm just looking to expand my footprint in my community for whatever that is. That doesn't have to be the same and it's going to vary per everybody, but if you don't take the time to put yourself into the mindset of not showing up and just flying by the seat of your pants, and you show up with what your ask is, it makes that whole interaction of whatever you're doing 100 times easier for yourself. And it also makes you show up intentionally. So the conversation can be geared in a different way of what you need out of it. And vice versa, you've got to have reciprocation as well. But if you don't have those two pieces dialed in before you even step foot in the room, you're missing a huge amount of time. And that time that it will take to build trust is already set back a few more months because of just not being prepared.
That's true. It's very true. Very true.
And
yeah.
I was going to say the AI, I sent the prompts over to you so you could hand them out as a show note. And that the prompt for this is, just taking a few minutes. Sometimes it's even in your car and just what's going on right now in my business, what's happening in me personally. And all of that will really help for you to show up in your best way possible.
That's great. So you basically put a prompt in the AI that will ask you on the way. I love it. I'm going to use it right now. I mean, I have a meeting I'm going after this one. I'm going to drive, and I always have prompts, ready for me because I use that time. I mean, it's about 45-minute drive. And I love those prompts because that's how I usually have prompts to prompt ideas for my articles that I'm writing or my next blog or my the strategy. But I love that when you are driving to a networking event, put it in your AI, have it ask you the prompts and answer them and get you focused and intentional before the meeting. That's, I think, a brilliant suggestion.
There's also ways, and some groups provide this and some don't. Some conferences provide it, but you can also drop in like websites and headshots of people that are going to be there and have it narrow down. Instead of going to 200, I need you to pick the top 5 people and why do I need to connect with them? And I've had it do that for me, and it's pulled up businesses that I would have never thought would be somebody I needed to connect with, such as a virtual assistant hiring company, right? I could use a virtual assistant all day long, but it turns out I have referred this man so much business because I talk to entrepreneurs every day that need help, right? That need to take some things off of their plate. And I would have never thought that that would have been a great person for me to target at that meeting without the help of this prompt.
Wow. So how did it come about? Like what? Oh, so you entered what prompt did you enter?
So I put in the prompt about, mindset, and then I uploaded the headshot list of everybody that was going to be at this meeting, and I told it to pick the top 5 people that I should be connecting with. Why? What is their business relevant to mine? And it picked up this company. It was like, you should talk to, his name is Mark. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, I'm not sure I see the connection myself, right? I see the connection for real estate agents for my mortgage company and financial advisors and coaches and different things, but not necessarily somebody that owns a virtual assistant company. And he actually sought me out first. And we started talking, and he's like, so how do you do everything? And my answer to him was, I'm Superwoman. How do you mean I do everything? I was being wildly sarcastic when I answered that. And from there, we scheduled some time to talk. We showed up as ourselves, and it's just been a beautiful relationship. It's supported me in my business, but I've also been able to feed him and show off as somebody that has a tremendous amount of credibility running my networking group and be like, hey, you need to hire somebody to do some of this social media posting or all the things that we need to do. And it was just a relationship that I never really would have thought would have thrived in regards to networking, but it's been beautiful.
That's amazing. Amazing. All right. So we're talking about the mindset.
Mm-hmm. Mindset and intention is the first one. So again, having a reason why you're showing up and then trying to be intentional with your time. If there's ways for you to pick and choose if you've got 45 minutes and this is all we have to do to maximize that time, let's make sure we really, really maximize it with the top 2 or 3 people that you need to do. And if you didn't have time to use the prompt, what I tell you to do is ask. Ask the people that you're interacting with, hey, I'm looking to connect with X. Do you know if anybody's in the room that does that? Leverage other people's expertise. So I'm a very extroverted person. If somebody came up to me and asked me, do you know a coach? I'd be like, come on over and I'm going to ice break for you if that's really not your strong suit. So use the people in the room that are really, really great at that as well. So that's the next little tip there.
That's a great
This,
tip.
yeah, the second A, or the first A, is authentic presence. This is really, really difficult for introverted people. I interviewed a ton of introverts for my book because I obviously wrote it from my expertise for 15 years of doing this, but I wanted to make sure it was all encompassing for everybody. And a lot of introverts have a really hard time kind of showing up and being a little vulnerable. They feel like they need to show up perfectly, or somebody along their line told them that they weren't good at conversations or talking about something, and that something has stuck with them as something in their head that they have maybe not do really well. And so I encourage everybody, if you're not a wear it on your sleeve kind of person like I am, that is okay. But you still need to show up and be present as yourself at that point in time. The first thing that's got to go are these things while you're out networking. Mine is on Do Not Disturb right now when I'm doing this call with you. We all have iWatches, we have phones, we can be completely visible to everybody at any time. But when you're having a conversation with somebody and your phone buzzes and you do this, you've already interrupted that connection that you're trying to build with somebody. So all of that has to go. And if it needs to be out, right, because you're expecting something, prompt it and say, hey, I have my phone out right now because I'm expecting a really, really important call from a doctor or whatever. So I may have to step away. Set the presence of it. But when you're doing this and breaking eye contact, you're already starting to build less trust with people. And then be as you are in that moment, whether you're killing it, not killing it in business, or you're just having a really hard time, or the day started off really well, you had a really crappy client scenario happen and that kind of drained you for the rest of the day. It's okay to show up as not perfect. And that is what I really, really, really encourage people. It actually makes you more relatable when you are real. Now, I'm not saying you have to, I'm a IVF mama. I have a fertility journey. I was very open through all of that, through all of my networking. People that know me really well know me that I went through this. What that allowed me to do when I shared that is when I had a really complicated pregnancy and delivery, I had meals at my house for 45 days straight from my
Wow.
community of people, because not that I was sitting in it or looking for the sadness, but I was just real. And people were like, oh man, how can I support Sarah during something that was very unexpected, which was a complicated delivery? So, these are the little things that you can share that make you real and relatable to people. And that's how you build that authenticity, this word that we keep hearing all the time, where it's like, you need to be real and authentic. And everyone's like, ugh, gosh, but I also want to be seen as a credible business owner. And I also want to be seen as this. All of that is fully available to do, but you have to show up as you, not as an extrovert, not as somebody that you think you should be doing, as you as much as possible and what's in your comfort zone to share.
I agree. I agree with that. Okay, 2 P's, the first one.
First one, precise messaging. I will ask you, how many times have you sat in some sort of networking room, one-to-one, somebody stands up and they give their 30-second pitch and they
And I
go,
go like,
hi,
what exactly do they do?
hi, my name is, and this is what I do. And you're like, I have no idea what that means, because they're using jargon that doesn't make any sense, or that they use in their everyday world, or they just haven't figured out how to kind of simplify it down so that the average person listening can grab onto something and say, ooh, I have a connection that would be really beneficial for you. Or, ooh, I understand who your ideal client is. I think for so long, it's been like, if I sound this way or I do this way, it'll automatically build credibility in the type of business or professional that I am. And I think it actually creates the complete opposite of building credibility. It kind of will take 10 times longer for somebody to
So how do you
understand
explain
what it is.
yours? What do you do on yours?
Yeah, so I keep it really simple. And I tell this in my prompt. The prompt is in there for you guys. Pretend you're talking to a 10-year-old. And so I usually start off with some sort of jarring question or statistic. So how many of you heard that the Fed cut the interest rates down last week? Yes or no. Some of them will rise, some of them will don't. Do you know that that doesn't directly affect your actual interest rate dollar for dollar? So if they cut it by a quarter, it doesn't mean interest rates came down a quarter. My name is Sarah Hubbard. I am a residential mortgage specialist, specializing in people that are first-time home buyers and that are self-employed business owners wanting to attain homeownership. I value education and compassion with no judgment on getting you to what your ultimate goal is, which is either owning a home or saving money if you already own one.
Wow.
So
I am
just it's
impressed.
simple. It's simple.
Sarah, it's impressive.
But here's what people don't do. Again, I pulled out my phone in our last one. Record yourself giving your 30-second introduction. You don't have to share it with the world. You don't have to post it anywhere, but you will be surprised on what you look like and sound like and be like, well, that's not what I'm saying at all. Or no, that's exactly what I'm going for. Maybe I need to tweak this word or that word and use AI to come up with a script and read it and say, does this even sound like something I would say in a normal conversation? Or is this like completely computer generated? But it gives you a starting point so that you can make things very simple. And I would encourage you, my biggest tip here is please don't use the word anybody. Okay. I can serve a ton of different people.
No,
All
you were
right.
so specific. I mean, we know specific is terrific. I think Ivan Meisner is the one who said it.
Yes.
And it is very much like you have to be specific because yes, maybe you can help somebody else, but first home buyer. Oh, I know a couple that want to buy their first home. Or an entrepreneur that I know that maybe it's a solopreneur that they feel like they can't get a mortgage because they don't have a W-2. Or if somebody wants to save money, and the fact that you're not judging, I mean, it's just like it's absorbing all of it because it very much directs the mind. Otherwise the mind really wanders like anybody. Well, I don't know anybody, but then you go, do you know anybody? I mean, somebody that is blood 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh yeah, boom. Okay, let's make a connection. So it's very much, I completely agree. I mean, it's beautiful, Sarah, and you're definitely an expert. It's very easy to see.
And
Last
you
P
have to
of the
give,
map. We need to go
yes.
to the last P.
Yes, the last P is purposeful follow through. So this is the point where, if this is our first interaction together, whatever you promised or whatever you learned how you could solve for them, if you can do it right away or later, you have to make note of it and then do what you say you're going to do. And set the proper time expectation on it. You're the only one that knows your own schedule. And so if you have the next 3 days are just packed, don't promise something that's going to happen in those next 3 days. You tell them it'll be in their inbox by Friday at 5 p.m. or by Monday at 5 p.m. and the conversation's happening on Tuesday. And make sure you do it. Okay. And then don't just add somebody to your list and then put them on their email list and then expect magic to happen because it does not happen that way. I have a very simple system. I label people in my CRM A, B, C's, or nothing. A's are, these people are fabulous. They also can feed my business really well. So I want to be talking with them every 2 to 3 weeks and talking with them as in picking up the phone and having a conversation, sending them a podcast, sending them a book recommendation, sending them a Facebook post that you saw and you're like, man, this was hilarious. Or, hey, I thought of you when I saw this. That is adding value to them in a very simple, simple way. B's in my system are great people. I don't know how exactly you're going to send me a ton of business, but I do want to be in your orbit. So maybe I'm touching base with you quarterly. C's are love you, you're great, but our businesses are like, you are an M&A person and I'm a mortgage person, and there's not much way that our businesses are going to collide, but I'm going to see you monthly at a networking event, or I'm going to do this. So I'm going to touch base with you maybe every 6 months outside of what I see you do. But you have to do some touches. This is where everybody drops the ball, is where I've had a great conversation and I loved it, but then I had never heard from that person ever again. What did I do wrong? You probably did nothing wrong, but there was no other systemization about how you touched base with them and how you added value. A lot of times when I've done this, somebody that was like, oh, I was just talking to so-and-so and you were on my mind and I was going to make this introduction. They're thinking about buying a house. And it was like a tenant of a friend, like it was just like this like third party connection that came down the road. But if you don't have a system for it and you're not working that system, then you have lost where most of people get successful ROI. And use AI to create it. Okay, mine is super simple. I already kind of had it. AI helped me dial it in. And that's what this prompt is all about. Tell it what CRM you have, tell it what you're already doing, and let it fix it for you to be simplified and make it executable for yourself.
I think it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Such a great system. Sarah, I'm sure our listeners are listening to us right now. I mean, I am. I was like, how can I get your book? I want your book. I want to know more. I want Sarah all the time. You talk to Sarah, like have that line to Sarah. Well, luckily I do, but because I have her cell phone and I have her address and I have her email. But if our listeners want to talk to you and know more about you, how do they do that?
Yes. Well, first and foremost, my book is out, available on Amazon, electronic or paperback version, called The Intentional Networker. And then for connection, you can reach out to me, is sarah.hubbard@gmail.com. And then I live a lot on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. The Instagram and Facebooks are the same. But my Instagram is at Sarah Ann Flan, FLANN, which is my maiden name, Flannery. And then at Sarah Hubbard on LinkedIn. Reach out. I would love to connect, support, add value to you on your networking efforts and see where we can improve if you feel like you're struggling.
Awesome. And thank you so much for being a guest on this podcast. It's been a great interview, very informative. And I encourage our listeners to go into Amazon and buy your book.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.